was speaking to Arabian Reseller and Security Review. Nice having you with us today. We can start with a brief about your cybersecurity predictions that you announced for 2023. What were the key highlights and how do you think the security threat landscape will evolve this year?
So, thank you for hosting us, and definitely it's annual report that we come out as Checkpoint because we have the largest cybersecurity research team, because we go across geographies and across verticals in terms of businesses, and based on this research we kind of publish this report, and it's very insightful. If you see some of the predictions that has come out is the increase in the number of cyber attacks that are there compared to 21 to 22. We have seen a significant increase, almost like 38% increase year over year, and we see the trend continuing into 23 as well in terms of number of cyber attacks that are going to be especially targeted ones. Of course, the ones which were on top was the hacktivism because of the geopolitical situation and the ransomware and the kind of sophistication in terms of ransomware. It is not only big groups, it's all about smaller groups coming out with very small variants, which eventually has a much larger impact on organizations. So these were some of the top ones that came out of it, but on top of it, there are many dimensions to it. If you see on one side technology, on the other side in terms of skills gap and misconfigurations, and the third, people adopting all these together. So this is where we see on one side, because of COVID, there has been a change in the way organizations adapt as well. Right now, hybrid work culture has become a norm. It's only going to continue. It is not that it was for the short term. So people have started to do cloud migrations as well, and there is a lot of you're distributing yourself and you're opening up for much more cyber attacks. And this is where we see, on top of activism, ransomware, the misconfigurations on the cloud, and people trying to move to the cloud and then having gaps in that can also cause issues. And the cyber skills gap is very important because, it's very important. You might have the technology. If those technologies are not kind of integrated, eventually that will open up. So that is also bridging the gap is also equally important. But we see the trend is only going to increase, and the statistics are staggering. Means we are talking about on an average about 11,000 attacks per week on an organization. And especially if we zoom into the GCC part, it's about 1,200. So this region is above the global average. So that shows the interest for people in this region because of the nature of enterprises in this part of the world. So it is equally more important. Obviously, on one side, there are threats, and we see about the increase in the interest. At the same time, there are also technologies and capabilities that can help customers and overcome those challenges. It's not that it's scary as it used to be, but it's all about adoption of technology and kind of mitigating those risks and then be at a position of strength. And this is where Checkpoint comes into picture, where we are always focused on prevention first, not because of the current situation. From where we started, we were always focusing on prevention. So basically what it means is that you deploy technology which will prevent an attack that ideally you will detect and then take some human effort to overcome it, but the technology can prevent. So this is where kind of we are playing, and I think companies which are adopting these technologies in the right, architecting it in the right way, kind of get helped and kind of in a position to be at a front foot to mitigate these threats that we see.
Okay. In terms of concepts, Checkpoint has something called Unified Security Architecture. Can you tell us what it is all about? What kind of solutions do you offer in that?
So Unified Security Architecture is a foundation for organizations or CISOs who are looking at re-architecting their whole network from a security point of view, because traditionally it was data center on-prem, then suddenly COVID came for a hybrid architecture. There is also a trend or moving to the cloud. So it is a very distributed nature, and of course you need to prevent the network, protect the network, you need to protect users, you need to protect from where they are accessing from. When it's a distributed setup, you need to protect the hybrid cloud environment as well. So this is where the asset is spread out, data is spread everywhere. So this is where the unified architecture comes into picture, and this is what Checkpoint is also showcasing in GISEC, or the whole Infinity architecture, where we are talking about securing the network, securing the cloud, and securing user access and devices from a complete user security point of view. So we call it as quantum CloudGuard and Harmony, three different product families coming together in a unified management platform, so that customers have one dashboard to look at the network security if they have cloud assets, looking at cloud, as well as bringing it together from a user and access point of view. So this is what we are kind of proposing and projecting it to customers, and CISOs are looking for consolidation. Today, what Checkpoint is doing is what we call it as the 3 Cs, which is kind of having a comprehensive approach to security, which is consolidated as well, and then it's a collaborative effort, kind of bringing it all together to mitigate the kind of threats that we are looking at. Because you cannot just say I'm protecting the users, but you leave the cloud unsecured, or the chances of misconfiguration on those dynamic environments are much more greater than in a very controlled environment. So this is where the need comes for automations and AI tools and technologies which will prevent, because mistakes can happen from an end user perspective or from an administrator perspective, or there is a gap in the knowledge. Any of those can get you into a stage where there is an incident that is going to happen, and this is where technology has to be there, and it should be more preventive. And this is what is the unified architecture, with the Infinity architecture, with Quantum focusing on the network side, CloudGuard focusing on the cloud security, and Harmony, which is taking care of the user devices and access related stuff. So we're bringing it all together on a unified horizon management. So this is the way we kind of approach the unified security architecture.
Okay. In terms of new solutions that you launched recently, one of that was the Infinity Spark. Can you tell us what is the USP of that particular solution?
So security is no different from an enterprise to an SMB, even though there has been a lot of focus on enterprises, large enterprises, and they're investing on security, but there are some segment of the market which is kind of left untouched, or the focus is not there. But now the realization is there, even though you are a small or a mid-sized customer, security is even more important, because you don't have that much of resources which an enterprises would have, either from a human perspective or from the investment point of view. So you're looking for security technologies which is kind of an all-in-one kind of infrastructure, because the needs are no different. You still need to protect your network. There are some workloads running on the cloud. Users, you still need to provide them access. So from all perspective, SMB is no different from an enterprise. It's only the scale that is different. So this is where what we have done is the Infinity Spark, which we came out with a solution, is a all-in-one unified solution, where it kind of a small all-in-one box to protect the network. It can protect users from collaboration tools, securing their email if they are on Office 365, and then securing their mobile devices. So it could be a small 5-10 user environment to a 50-100 user environment. So we are covering them from all three angles, from a network, cloud, or from user and access perspective. So this is a revolutionary kind of a thing. It's just to bring it all together. On top of it, it's also the service, because those SMB businesses doesn't have the resources to deploy and maintain. So they're looking for managed security services provider who can offer them as a service. So when take these tools to partners who can offer them as a service, then it becomes like a unified solution. They don't need to look at 5-10 different technologies, have the knowledge to maintain and operate, but rather a unified managed services offering. And this is where the USP of Infinity Spark is, and this is something that we are able to take to our channel partners and our distribution landscape to kind of address more markets, because security is no different for them, and we keep them secured as well.
Okay. You briefly mentioned about channel partners using, you helping your channel partners deploy your solutions in a much better way. What sort of engagements and programs do you have planned for the rest of the year for them?
Excellent question, because channel ecosystem is a very key component in our accelerated growth for Checkpoint in the region, and this is where our efforts are focused on our channel partners, because they kind of bridge some of the skills that are lacking on the end customer side. So from that perspective, we are giving them the knowledge, we are training them on the newer technologies, be it on the hyperscale architecture, on any of the CloudGuard or Harmony technologies, which we call it as emerging technologies, because these are where there are shortages in terms of knowledge as well as skills to implement and configure. So we are training up partners on one side in terms of enablement, and then we have a very structured partner program, and we are aligning our partners to what Checkpoint's focus is. taking the message to enterprise customers and aligning them with the knowledge that they need so that the adoption of these technologies will be much more seamless, and integrating them with the ecosystem the customer says. It's not like you can go with a standalone product and it can be a black box sitting in a customer environment. Even though it's a technology which will do its function, but it needs to coexist with the other technologies that they have deployed, and it needs to seamlessly work together so that eventually it will give them the visibility the customer would require. It's not, a customer needs a solution for the problem rather than just a technology bit. So this is where what we are doing is we are working with key channel partners addressing different segments, some addressing the enterprise segment, some enterprising the mid-market. So we are taking the Infinity architecture, giving them the solutions that they can take it to their customers, which are kind of differentiators, eventually taking them back to the basics of consolidation, which is what the CISOs want, right? And then it has to be comprehensive, address all different aspects, what the enterprise would need. And then it's a kind of a collaborative approach where the partners can add their services as well. So this is the channel program that we have, aligning them with our strategy and our messaging so that the customers hear what we directly go and evangelize, and our channel partners are also evangelizing the same from their perspective as well. So this is our alignment, and this is our strategy for 23, aligning our partners, enabling them with the technologies and the knowledge that they do so that they can kind of go into the market and deploy those technologies. Especially talking about 23 in Q1, we have done a series of training programs specifically on each of these technologies so that there is more hands and feet on the ground talking about these technologies and the implementations.
Thank you, Ram, for speaking to us. Nice having you with us today.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be on your platform for GISEC, and looking forward for the